Hello and welcome. This is an annual show we do here on the In the Money Media Network, all the way back to the audio days. We've been doing it on video the last few years. In the Money Media YouTube channel. Peter Thomas Fornatal back with you in the Brooklyn bunker once again for this year's Triple Crown draft. And well, first and foremost, let's introduce and explain the panel. We have, and we'll have a special presentation for her before we get started in earnest. But we'll first introduce the defending champion, multi-time champion. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But Michelle Yu joins us from California. There she is. We have a returning guest, hasn't been with us on this show in a couple of years, but we were able to nab him this year. Nick Tammaro, the Churchill Downs / Kentucky Derby morning line maker, is here. Nick, everything good?
Oh, going great. Excited. I did this once before, and Michelle won by a lot.
That's a theme. Though it wasn't a lot last year, to make it even worse. To win 2 of the 3 races and not win the contest is something that I'm going to be bitter about for a very long time. But that's, I'd complain about whoever the idiot was who makes the rules, but that idiot is me. So there you go. Also, we were talking off air a little bit about Premier League soccer and soccer in England in general. And of course, as folks probably know, in England, you have a system of promotion and relegation. Every single episode of this show that we've ever done, going back almost 10 years now, Jonathan Kinchin has been here with us. After his 0-point performance last year, and going all the way back to his Kinchin Slam in whatever that was, 2019, I think, he hasn't done very well. He's out. He's relegated. He's gone. And instead, we are promoting, to continue the extended metaphor here, from the championship, essentially, a man whose face you will probably recognize if you like sports at all. He's Chris Fallica. Chris, how are things, my friend?
Things are good outside of the Islanders' collapse down the stretch in the NHL. No playoffs again on Long Island, but we're good. We're hanging in there, back from vacation and looking forward to it. I didn't know that Kinchin put up a 0.0 last year. I might have to try. Maybe we can slide the champ in there on the Fox desk for the Belmont Stakes coverage.
It's not a bad idea for a variety of reasons, actually. But I did promise this on last year's show. I actually re-listened last year, and I said that if Michelle were to win for 3 years in a row, which she did, despite my having the winner of 2 of the 3 races, if she were to get the prize, we would get a bobblehead made of her. And there it is, for the first time in public, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice.
Michelle Yu bobblehead.
I love it. It looks so good.
I know, it's pretty cool. And I will get it actually made. This is a render from the artist who we had some language difficulties. This is Fiverr for you. It was supposed to be a bottle of Veuve Clicquot, not just the glass. And it was supposed to say underneath 3 times.
That is awesome. That looks so great.
Yeah, for the final one, we'll get it. And yeah,
I love it.
It's going to be impressive. It's easier than ever. Funny enough, when we started this, we'll give you a blast from the past. The first ever Triple Crown draft was won by a fella who used to work with us at DRF, who was very important in the early days of the show. Mike Hogan was his name. And I explored the possibility for his first win of getting a bobblehead made. And at the time, it was like $400 to get a bobblehead made. And I said, Mike, I like you, but not that much. Now it's like $80. Michelle, I definitely like you that much.
I have this other trophy from when I won the Santa Anita charity handicapping contest. And this
that's awesome.
That's strong.
I like the bobblehead much better. No offense.
You can put the bobblehead next to the $sign, and
look, this looks a little like.
All right, if we're breaking out trophies now, I have to do it. I don't want anybody to think that I actually have a legitimate.
Nice! Look at them big leaguing us all.
Yeah, my colleagues at ESPN for my 20th anniversary in the research department made a little bobblehead of me. So yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, he's got Emmys on his shelf. So yeah, I have an unmade bed behind me that I kick my mother-in-law out of, and he has an Emmy or 10 Emmys.
So Friday, I'm downstairs watching. I have the golf on one screen, and I got Keeneland on the other. And our cats like to just run and jump and go on the the TV console and right in front of the TV, and I have a couple of Emmys on each end, and literally Samson he just loves scratching his face all over the Emmy. So that my joke with my friends were, yeah, so many Emmys lying around, we just use them as cat scratching posts for their face.
Nick, do you have anything you want to show us? It's show and tell now.
You know, my Eclipse Award is upstairs, which I'm realizing is a problem. What do you have?
My daughter gave me this after my first year calling at Sam Houston. So
that's awesome.
She and my wife had it made. That's about as good as I've got access to.
That's phenomenal. I'll take that personal memento over anything awarded from any industry.
Right. I have an Astros 2022 World Series ring also, but
that's
we
won't go into that.
Yeah. No.
All my stuff is upstairs. See, this is what a braggart I am. We had some friends over recently, and I wanted to show off the trophies to the friends, and now I got nothing down here in the
Now when you actually have an audience, you got nothing.
Speaking of Astros, Nick, I need some help for you. I have Yordan Alvarez at 29-1 to be the first player to 10 homers. And if I lose to Jordan Walker, I'm going to be very upset.
Where is Yordan at 7 now?
Did he get one yesterday?
No.
Okay, then he's at 6. Jordan Walker's at 7, and he's at 6.
Well, you know what? They're a beer league softball team at this point, so they've got no pitching at all, and they can
swing
hit
from the heels and hope for the best.
They need to get home.
All right, let's get. I love the tangents. You know that we always love those. But in the interest of all of your time, nothing to do with me. But in the interest of your time, I say we get this show on the road. We did as always the draw. You know, it used to be more fun, especially when Perrin was tiny. I would have her do the random draw. She's at school and she's too old to think that's fun now anyway. So we went the random number generator route. Yeah, definitely not as cool.
You know, I've got 2 kids for hire. You could have told me. Spencer could have drawn these names.
Next year we're going to do that. But we do have an AI created tracking system. That's not as cool, but we've got it, and it's listed here. Nick got the first pick. Michelle will go second. I will go third. Chris will go fourth. Not sure that's any disadvantage at all this year. It is a snake draft format. I will fill these picks in as we go. If somebody picks something that I didn't preload, I didn't have time to troubleshoot the AI and make it so I could override. We'll fill it in later. So don't feel restricted to the top 25 for the Derby right now. Those are going to be the pre-populated horses. But I have a feeling this first round is all going to be horses running in the Kentucky Derby. Nick, how do you want to kick this thing off? And feel free to let us know why.
So I don't get the luxury of making him the morning line favorite because it seems as if the market's already decided it'll be a Renegade. So I'm going to take Commandment first. I think Commandment is maybe even a more polished version of what we saw from a horse like Sovereignty last year. Very similar style-wise, and I still think there's a lot of upside there. So I'm going to take Commandment first and hope for a Derby Belmont double.
Hard to argue. I do see what you mean. We did see that effect in the market this week. The official jockey news with Renegade pushing him down to about 7-2 internationally. And I think there's an argument to be made that there's real signal in Erad showing up here. I don't think there's politics involved, whereas it would surprise me if politics were not involved in Flavian Pratt's decision to where he's going to end up on. That's official now, right? That he's on
emerging market.
Mm-hmm. So that one I'm not reading anything into, but this one I do think they're signal. Okay, Michelle, that brings you up with the second pick for the 3-time defending champion. Who's going to lead your team?
I'm going to take Renegade.
Okay, I get it.
Love the way he closed. You got some good connections, so I'm going to stick right there.
I get it. And with me in the third spot, not a lot to add about Renegade. You know, we've covered him pretty thoroughly on these shows. I'm going to take Further Ado. And I get the...
Did they move the Derby to Keeneland?
Well, I don't buy the Keeneland horse for course argument. What I am slightly concerned about, and in our show that's going to be dropping any second now with Randy Moss, the first of our monster pods, he had some good stuff that has actually not been published anywhere about the trajectory of Further Ado. And I do think there is
is it the pedigree angle where there's been 73 Derby winners in his first 3 breeding cycles there?
I've seen that, but what this was more about how much of a rush it was to get this horse ready. And I mean, to your point about Keeneland, how important it was to Connections to have him firing his best shot. Like correct me if I'm wrong, there's no way this horse can improve off the 106 in the Derby. It's just my play is that he holds his form and that 106 is good enough. But address that question. I mean, Michelle, you clearly think he's a Keeneland horse for course from your snarky remark, right?
I mean, I just kind of like to be snarky, so it's fun. But I just feel like we've seen this show before where we have horses that relish Keeneland and then don't run a lick anywhere else.
I think he's more than capable of running a lick somewhere else. I do think, that was probably a more meaningful effort to Connections being in the seat of the breeding industry than your average final prep race. Are you buying? Where do you stand on this horse, Nick?
I generally agree with you. I think the Keeneland horse for course is just an easy label to throw on him because I thought he ran fine at Tampa. I think the Tampa Derby was a largely pretty misunderstood race. I think it was a much better race than it was originally given credit for, certainly better than the Beyer speed figure would indicate. And so I think, generally when you talk about bounce and things like that with these kind of horses, it's because there's something trip related that can't be simulated in their next start. Now, obviously, he's a horse with tactical speed, the ability to lay close, can kind of make his own luck. Johnny Velasquez is a really good fit for him. He wants to be outside chasing. I mean, this horse draws, basically 12 and out. Probably not a terribly big deal to be anywhere other than 1, 2, or 3. I think he'll have a fair shot at it. So I still think there's a lot of upside there. And there's clearly a lot of talent. He's just one that needs to. He's sort of the anti-Commandment, right? When he's really good, he's better than anybody in here. Commandment's good consistently. They're both good. So I think he's a major player.
Let's move on to you, Chris. I've been letting you I haven't asked you any questions about these top 3, letting you get organized for these 2 picks you now have in a row. Feel free to reflect back if you have anything in particular you want to add on any of those 3. But otherwise,
I don't want to have to root for Michelle because we don't want her winning 4 in a row. But I do have a nice Renegade Derby future in my pocket, even though I don't feel great about it. I like Nick's pick of Commandment. Number 1. And one thing that I always look at in Derby handicapping of these horses that have good races over the Churchill surfacing. Further ado has won at Churchill. So I don't think they're going to be – look, he did freak over Keeneland. And it's clear his 2 best races have come over Keeneland. But I wouldn't be dissuaded by using him in the Derby as well. I don't think this is a total flop candidate like the ridiculous favorite from that colonial form really played out well in the Lexington on Saturday with the Ezem, the favorite.
Yeah.
That was I couldn't believe that horse was favored, but we're not worrying about that right now. I was happy when the old AI generator gave me 4 or 5 because I'm going to take Chief Wallaby. I'm going to hope that he's in the field. I think he should be in the field, and I think this horse is a horse that. Look, he's been right there with Commandment early on. Belmont, you never go wrong with Belmont on the Derby Trail. It's a horse that you might be able to get I know Nick was hoping for a Derby Belmont double. I'll be hoping for a Derby Belmont double as well. So I'm going to take Chief Wallaby there at 4th.
I like it.
That makes sense. He would have been who I had dreamt of him dropping to me at 6 from the first race. I've really liked him. I think even though it wasn't visually awesome or anything, the figure came back strong last time, and it just wouldn't surprise me to see him take another step forward. Even though when you watch back the Florida Derby, there's nothing I see watching that tape that makes me say, oh, he's definitely going to improve. But just, knowing Bill Mott's past performances, I do have that idea in my head. And there's the fact that I'm pretty sure it would be a very rare Derby. We're recording this on April 13th, where you didn't get 1 defection between now and the first Saturday in May. You're on the turn, Chris, so you got another horse to talk about.
I will go with Emerging Market. You mentioned him before with Pratt riding for Chad there. Yeah, I thought it wasn't necessarily a fast Louisiana Derby. It wasn't, again, really visually super impressive, but been off since then. And if nothing else, I feel pretty confident. Chad likes to run his horses in the Preakness and at the Belmont as well, where he's had a ton of success in the Preakness. So even if this horse doesn't run well in Louisville, I would be surprised if he didn't take another shot in the Preakness. I'm going to go with Emerging Market there, top of round 2.
Chad has some decisions to make, and I would think that, emerging market who seems nailed on for the Derby would probably go ideally, if he runs well, look to go the Derby Belmont route with one of those others ultimately skipping and ending up in the Preakness. That's an angle that maybe somebody wants to play a little bit later on, but it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out with the 3 potential Chad Brown starters. With my 6th pick, I'm happy to take the Puma here. This is a horse that I really like. I've been a fan of since the jump. We've got connections that have done extremely well. Obviously, it was just 3 years ago having Ramiro Restrepo on talking about Mage, a horse that he was the owner of. He's not the owner. He's not involved in the ownership group of the Puma, but he is part of the Bloodstock. He is the Bloodstock agent. Actually, the second Monster Pod video is going to be Ramiro giving us.
Throw it up for the U.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You get the Miami connection for you to get excited about there. So I'm going to go with this one, Son of Essential Quality, who I think will relish the distance, and another that I think maybe we can get to race, hopefully, in 2 of the 3 Triple Crown races. Michelle, you are up next with your 2nd round pick, coming in at number 7.
I'm going to go Silent Tactic.
Okay, I get it.
I mean, I dislike some things about him, but I also like some things about him. I think that he looks like a grinder, so hopefully he'll get the distance. Unfortunately, he kind of looks like his dad a little bit. He just likes to run right there and pick up a check, but checks mean points, Pete.
You proved it last year. The checks ultimately are what's going to win you a contest like this. You could see Mark Casse getting ambitious with a horse like this and doing the 3 races in 5 weeks. And there's an argument to be made that he's among the most consistent horses in the field. Does he have the brilliance to run 1-2? We'll see. But I mean, the idea of him hitting the board in multiple races, that doesn't sound crazy to me whatsoever. One other point I wanted to make about the Puma, Nick, and I'll throw this to you as a speed figure, a guy who understands how speed figures are made. I was interested to see some ground loss considering speed figure sources having him as fast as anybody in the race. The Puma. Where do you stand on the Puma, and who are you picking for your second pick here, going number 8 overall?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of fanfare, it feels like he has the costliest nose loss of anyone, right?
Right.
He's really not getting nearly as much pub as the top 3 to 4, if you want to include Chief Wallaby in that conversation. And I think, given what the connections have thrown at the Puma, it's arguable that his lead up to this race is as good as anyone. Coming back from the tough trip into Sam Davis to win the Tampa Derby wide and just finishing on there, and then running a race in the Florida Derby that was awfully similar to Mage's effort in the Florida Derby, just run down right on the wire. I think, if anything, too, the performance by the Puma was a little bit more conclusive than it was with Mage, because he was a little less raced, more lightly raced. So yeah, I like this horse. I think he's an excellent pick at 6. It also feels like he's a horse that if he finishes 2nd or 3rd in the Derby, he's a certainty to come back in the Preakness. And just as to Michelle's point, Silent Tactic feels like if there was a market for likeliest to run in all 3, he's probably the favorite, right? Mark doesn't like to miss a lot of dances. And this is a horse that's been pretty well raced up to this point anyway. So yeah, if we were doing an Oaks draft, I would definitely take either Counting Stars or Search Party, because Mark would run. He'll run as many times as possible.
All right. You're here on the turn actually now, Nick, between rounds 2 and rounds 3. So we need picks 8 and 9 from you.
So I'm going to take, with pick 8, Full Effort. And my thought on Full Effort is,
that was my next horse. Dang it.
This is a horse that I kind of like, and you dig into him a little bit. I thought the Jeff Ruby Stakes was a far more complete effort. He looked really good winning. The whole damn side on this horse's pedigree is dirt horses. He's obviously a half to Alabama winner Power Squeeze. And his workout on Friday at Churchill, he was solo, but he looked great. He looked like he was getting over it very, very well. I think Tyler Gaffalione is a really good fit also. So I'm going to take him at 8, and then at 9, I'm going to take Potente. And my hope there is that we know how much Bob Baffert loves the Preakness. So I feel like this is a horse that if he puts in any kind of decent effort in the Derby, then he'll be back in the Preakness.
All right. It makes perfect sense to me. It'd be interesting to see what, in a year where he's been so quiet, would it really be that shocking to see Baffert overperform in the Triple Crown Series? The answer, no, it would not.
No.
Michelle, you got sniped on full effort. That made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, given your tremendous success in this contest, and how, I don't know if you guys noticed, I put in some Michelle lines in. Michelle,
I read. Do you see? I read the rules because I got all the way to the end. Thank you.
I'm not too subtly rooting against you just this year. I'll be right back in your corner next year. But
that's the ultimate sign of respect, Michelle. If he's writing in rules to try and push you out of the money, that's the ultimate sign of respect.
Who's it going to be with Pick 10?
Well, since Nick took my next horse, I'll take him on Baffert to Baffert in the Preakness. I'm going to go Crude Velocity.
Yeah, I get that. And I don't think I have Crude in the drop down. Oh, no, look, it says add horse. AI was more clever than I realized. Let's see. All right, that's great. So, yeah, we'll put Crude Velocity in here. He was very much on my list. What is the news? I actually didn't have a chance to check. Is he a confirmed pointing to the Preakness, or are you just making assumptions based on past performances?
Winging a prayer right here. I mean, he's Pat Day Mile, and I talked to Bob after on Santa Anita Derby Day, actually, like, why didn't you enter Crude Velocity? It wouldn't have been completely off the cuff for him after that debut. And he was like, I tried to get an allowance race to go instead. And, that's just what I want to do because it's not fair to him to throw him into Bob. So, but he obviously likes him. He's going to run him in the Pat Day Mile. He had a huge effort in the undercard race. And I think that's just a great springboard timing wise for him. It's, and bringing him in, trying to like stretch him out a little bit slower. I do think that was a good spot. I thought that if he runs good the Pat Day Mile, for sure they're going to run him in the Preakness.
We've seen that move work before, right? Was it Seize the Gray a couple of years ago? Used that as a springboard. There was another more fancied horse, I think, that tried it either that year or another year. Baffert, I'm almost surprised he wouldn't just train right up to the Preakness, but I guess the seasoning, and obviously he doesn't care about coming back.
And you've watched the horse run. Like his first out, there was so much trouble. I feel like he wants to continuously give this horse some outs to like help him along and maybe help Flora along.
We'll see how that plays out. I am going to go with a horse that I think has an opportunity to run in all three races. And I'll admit, I've taken a sneak peek at some of the Japanese buyer style speed figures that we have that will be part of our In the Money Plus package. inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. Actually, I think I made a better URL. I think now it's just inthemoneyplus.com. That's going to be something that folks want to check out with our own trip notes, our own workout grades for the first time. We're going to have in there grid picks from all the team, individual analyses of all the horses. Anyway, the speed figures in there I'm really excited about. I don't think Denon Bourbon is a joke. And I think we all probably think that with it, sooner rather than later, Japan are going to be hitting the board and or winning Triple Crown races in the States, given how well they seem to do with everything. So, yeah, Denon Bourbon for me to close out race 3. Does anybody, Michelle, you have a snarky comment about him?
Never.
Okay.
No, I would never say anything bad about like the Japanese horses.
Do you have you done any figure work or anything on the Japanese yet, Nick, or is that on your to-do list between now and whenever you have to send that line in?
Just kind of letting the international markets guide it. It does seem like the more fancied of the pair is Denon Bourbon, and that Fukuryu was, I think I read somebody say they thought it would be a high 90s type fig. He's also a horse with a decent amount of speed, and I think that matters this year because this Derby, from a tactical perspective, just does not have a lot of early speed. So
high 90s. High 90s matches the excellent work that Alex Henry was doing for us. So no joke there. All right. What about that hypothesis, Chris? True or false? Japan will win a Kentucky Derby in the next 10 years.
False.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not there. We've been hearing it. What 1990? What 6, 7? We're hearing about. It's only a matter of time until one of these Dubai horses comes over and wins. Hell, we're still waiting. Yeah, I'm not there. I don't think the quality of the horses over there is great. I think Derby Day is a completely different animal. No pun intended for these horses. Yeah, I'm not there. But I'm not going to be. I don't want to have to put my money on hold for 10 years and have to wait to get paid on that.
No, it's not an actual bet.
I'm kidding. I'm being snarky too.
You're allowed. Yahagi-san just crossed Chris Fallica off his Buddha Day card list, by the way. Anyway, Chris, you are up actually here on the turn once again between round 3 and 4. You get 2 picks in a row before it comes back to me. Who's it going to be?
I was hoping Crude Velocity was going to be there. Obviously, I don't have that hope anymore. I'm gonna have to go with 2 horses who. Well, first one I'm going to go with Taptastic. I mean, I think he ran well in the Arkansas Derby. Obviously, we're going up against Renegade probably. Steve Asmussen has done very well at the Preakness. I'm going to hope for a Preakness win out of Taptastic with my next pick.
All right, we'll pop that in there, and we will get ready to go on to your next selection, my friend. Where are you going to head?
Yeah, I don't like a lot of these Derby horses that are still available. I mean, they just kind of a lot of space. I would be shocked if one of the top 5 horses didn't win the Derby. So it feels like you're kind of hoping for someone to plot up. So I'm going to go. I got one shad in the barn already. I'll go with another one with Iron Honor. Drawn all the way outside in the wood. Hopefully he can improve with his next race, whether that is the Derby or the Preakness, and hopefully the Belmont. Hopefully get a couple of chads running up there at the Belmont 6.
I don't mind that idea whatsoever. Again, with the idea of I could see him being the one who they decide not to bother in the Derby, and they go right to the Preakness and maybe getting to face a diminished field. I mean, we've seen Chad has done this twice already. I wouldn't see any reason why he doesn't try it with one of these. Iron Honor might be on the top of that list. We'll see how that plays out. For me, I've been so funny. One of the most common things in the comments of the videos I've done about Derby content so far has assailed me, and maybe a little bit you too, Nick, for not giving any love to the Santa Anita Derby, which is a race that came back fast enough. Watching it, I just wasn't wholly convinced. But here at pick number 14, I think it's time to put So Happy on the board. What are your current thoughts? And I'll put this one around the horn, starting with you, Nick. Were we wrong to be as dismissive of the Santa Anita Derby as we were in our prep recap video?
I think it's fair to say you can say it wasn't a vintage edition of the Santa Anita Derby, and also think that So Happy and Potente have a chance to be players on the trail. I don't think that those are mutually exclusive.
Right.
So yeah, he was, I was actually just looking at my list prior, and I thought, wow, nobody's taken So Happy. And I took Potente like 6 picks ago. So I did wonder if somebody could. Feels like a horse that, with a decent effort in the Kentucky Derby, he might wheel right back in the Preakness. I think the challenge of this, to me, was really trying to figure out who might go to the Preakness, right? Because, I mean, Bill Mott, for lack of a better way to put it, sort of pissed all over the Preakness last year.
Clearly will never go to the Preakness with a Derby winner.
Made everybody feel like you're an idiot to go to the Preakness, right? Why would you bother? Now it's at Laurel. There's only going to be 5,000 people there, and it's a 1-year deal. And it's like, so who the hell is going to go to the Preakness? Right. And that's why I like Chris's pick.
If I had a horse that I could run in the Preakness, I would. I don't know about you.
I'd run a clear if he was my horse. But yeah, it feels like you want to find somebody that might be a little bit more inclined to look to that race.
I think that makes sense. What about the Santa Anita Derby form in general? Actually, Michelle, we'll end up with you on this question because you're going to also segue then into your next pick. But Chris, do you have a strong preference one way or another of these final Derby preps? One you think might be particularly good or particularly bad?
I will say this. I was away, so I did not see a lot of these races live. I watched replays. Further obviously was super impressive at Keeneland Freaking. Obviously, I thought the Arkansas Derby was pretty impressive. I thought those two top horses. I thought those 2 horses there, Renegade and Taptastic, were right on par with each other, and I can see those two. Maybe they go Preakness Belmont. I'm not sure. Renegade's a horse I want in the Derby. But I could see Renegade maybe moving on, and obviously he'll run in the Belmont. But I thought the Arkansas Derby was pretty good.
Michelle, what did you think of your local Kentucky Derby prep?
Well, everyone loved Cherokee Nation off of his Maiden Breaker where he went so fast, but I'm just not a big believer in that horse, so I knew I wanted to beat him. However, I thought it was going to be Patente, and then honestly, So Happy had worked not great in my opinion. And I knew I wanted to beat Intrepido because watching him on the track, he looked like he had lost some weight, and I just didn't like the way he was coming in the race. So I kind of had narrowed it down to liking Patente. And then when he got beat so effortlessly by So Happy, who hadn't worked well, I was like, poop. Because I feel like coming into Derby, I want to be able to gauge a horse and how they work. So if you have a horse that works not great and then runs that good, it kind of just throws me for a loop. And even though he has blame on the bottom side, I still can't wrap my head around a Run Happy being a Kentucky Derby winner.
Mm-hmm.
Now Mark Glatt's got all the good juju on his side right now, and we had the feel good story right here. So I would, from a heart standpoint, love to see a victory for Mark Glatt. I don't know if I could back the horse to win. Maybe he could hit the board in the Preakness on a turn back.
We were talking about Houston sports before. Nick,
I fell asleep during that time.
Wow.
I'll throw this one out at you, sort of related. Any chance we'll see Mattress Mac back at the Derby making $1 million bets with So Happy in the mix?
Not that I know.
Last I spoke to him, he'd sworn off racing. So
yeah.
We'll see. I think a son of Run Happy could be exactly what's necessary to get him back in the mix. But yeah, I haven't gotten in touch with him yet, but I will definitely try. He's hard to believe he wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, it's a little different when it's a horse he had so much invested in. Michelle, let's get on to your pick in round 4. Then Nick will finish the round. Then we'll do the words from the sponsor before we go on too much further. I say that out loud for my own benefit more than you guys. But Michelle, who's pick 15?
Okay, I don't want to miss out on any of the Japanese bandwagon, so I'm going to put Wonder Dean because if Kate Hunter follows a horse around, that means that they're going to run well. So put the UAE Derby winner in there for me.
Wonder Dean, it is. That is a race that has not always produced the best runners, the best follow-up runs in the Kentucky Derby, though I still, to this day, would like to see what would have happened if Mendelssohn had a different draw. Anyway, Nick, finish round 4 for us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the pickings are getting a little more slim right now, but I'm hopeful that he feels differently about the Preakness than his father. I'll take Incredibolt.
He fits. I mean, we're getting to that point, and this is a horse that, I love to shout out Eric DeCoster whenever I can. He does amazing work for us here behind the scenes and in front of the mic too, with some of the shows we've done, putting together our top 10 lists. And this was his big, bold swing early. Before most people had Incredibolt in the top 10, he had him top 5. And it looked a little wild for a while. And I suppose there's a point to be made of, as Chris did before, about the form coming out of that last race. But at this point in the scenario, certainly makes sense to have Incredibolt there. Nick, we're going to come back to you in 1 second for pick number 17 as we move on to our 5th and final round. But I do want to say that this video is brought to you by our friends at the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund. Racing in Kentucky is on a massive upward crescendo because of the money they are funneling back into the industry there. It's a year-round scene, even when it's not just Churchill and Keeneland and Kentucky Downs. You're seeing better and more competitive racing there. If you want to learn more about the KTDF and the work that they do, we have a little pretty link that goes right to their website, inthemoneypodcast.com/KTDF. And we thank the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund for being sponsors of this podcast for many, many years now, and always look forward to covering the racing in Kentucky. Round 5 begins, Nick, as round 4 ended with you. Who are you going to pick here?
This is a tough one to finish, so I'm going to hope that I just saw that on Saturday he put the 5 furlong and 1 minute and 4/5 workout into him. So I'm going to take Chip Honcho.
Okay. Yep.
Hope that Steve is going to go that direction with him. I think it's at least a pretty decent possibility.
Need some help to get in. Do you think he'll get it, or are you not worried?
I'm actually more of the I hope he doesn't get in and goes to the Preakness, and then he would be a natural Preakness Belmont type.
That makes absolute sense to me. Michelle, the final member of your team as you go for the 4 in a row to emulate the New York Islanders of the early 1980s. Are you
She's
thinking?
muted. Doesn't realize it.
You're muted, Michelle.
That's because that's how I do all my best thinking. I'm gonna go outside and see. I'm gonna go nearly.
Okay. You think
That's
he'll be back in time?
That's 2 in a row. Well, 2 out of 3. Crude Velocity was the top of my board last time, and nearly was the top of my board this time.
That could be bad if you're a crappy picker. Then I'm like picking your horses. That means my picks are crappy. So I was just kind of trying to think like a horse that might do something a little later if he doesn't get in.
The Travers does not get you points in this contest. I will point that out.
That's
but
okay.
Based on the brilliance shown earlier on.
I know. How do you love this horse? He's like, oh, he's gonna win the Derby. We love him, and then he throws in one bad effort, and everyone's like, oh, he's terrible.
Well, there was some diagnosed physical issue, I think, that's going to necessitate time away.
That's class president, I think, Pete.
So nearly just they just left him in. They're just consciously leaving him in the barn. So that does make the Belmont a lot more possible.
That's my understanding. I mean, the concern would obviously be that when Todd's horses generally run like nearly did, usually they need some type of time or a distance change of some sort. But I mean, if they still plan on persevering with him, he feels like a totally reasonable pick at this stage.
Yeah, for sure. For a last round pick. It makes sense. For some reason, I was thinking I could be conflating. I could be assuming when I said the Travers thing. It felt like a reboot might be in order. But you're right. For a round 5 pick and with the Belmont right there, why the heck not? There's a couple of horses still I'm tracking for this last spot. Which way do I want to go? Golden Tempo? We'll throw Golden Tempo in there because, this is not a horse I'm viewing as a particularly serious Kentucky Derby contender at this point. But as Chris said, horses to come running and pick up pieces, like that's a thing. And Golden Tempo could do that in one or more of these Triple Crown races. Chris, you have the final selection.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to need a second here because now I've had 2 in a row.
This is it. This is the last. It's only 5 rounds.
I know. Golden Tempo was where if you can't root for Cherie and Phipps, that's. Oh yeah,
Tino would fit well on your team with all the Chads. I'm just saying.
I think Tino was a cut below all of them.
I actually thought about taking Otinho. I know he's definitely a cut below, no doubt about it. But
when you get to these late rounds, we've had people take maidens in this spot. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach it from here.
This is the stage of the event where Blackout Time having a bad year is a real problem because he would have been a certainty to run 3 times for Kenny, right? I mean,
yes, that's an excellent point. It doesn't look like that's going to happen.
No, he did not go on.
Who else could you? We can all help at this point.
Yeah, no, I pick
left.
Yeah, I was super high on Leading Change coming into the year too, and then he got hurt, and I think he's back on the work tab now, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to make the Belmont. That's let's see.
We'll give you another second here, and then we'll force you to give your final.
Yeah, I know.
What would I do? I have somebody rated high who we haven't taken yet, right? Pavlovian as a throw-in horse? Wouldn't be crazy.
I was looking for someone who just might be able to pick up some pieces in the Derby. That's why I was thinking of
we think stark contrast. We don't think McCarthy's going to go that way,
He's not
right?
gonna go. He's going to go there.
For the sake of time here. Yeah, just give me. I'll just take.
Chris, what about Desert Gate? Could Bob run him in the Preakness? He did run well at Oaklawn last time.
He did.
Not crazy.
I just noticed he's nominated for the Pat Day Mile. The Churchill has the noms out for.
Yeah, what else would I think? Could you could look? We didn't give the Wood any love, but I guess it was a very slow race.
I mean, the only horse you'd want to take out of there to maybe try the Preakness would be Napoleon Solo, right?
And that even seems like a stretch at this point, right?
It feels like a race that he would be in if he's in one piece.
Yeah, that's true. And it was you on the show, Nick, who made the point, I think, that like maybe that race wasn't as bad as it looked.
Yeah.
Plutarch isn't going to run in any. I mean, do they know what the hell they're going to do with that?
He's hurt.
Yeah.
Is he hurting it?
Yeah.
So you probably don't want him.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want him. I'll just take the Doug O'Neill horse. I'll just take Pavlovian. And
I get it.
Flunk up for a piece. I got a couple of horses there that aren't in the Derby. May as well have a couple that are in there. And with the very last pick in the draft, I don't expect to score anyway. So
the equine, what is it? The equine equivalent of Mr. Irrelevant, but we don't have pickups, so it doesn't really work.
In honor of the late great D. Wayne Lucas, let me take a horse that's run 11 times prior to the Derby.
Chris, you were a great addition to the side. Appreciate you coming on here. Michelle, I really appreciate your appearance. Will not appreciate you winning 4 times in a row, though. You've done enough. You've done enough. Let somebody come and pass you. Nick, fantastic to have you back in the starting lineup here. Really appreciate you.
Enjoyed it. Absolutely. No, it's great. Good luck to everybody. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
No
morning line slander.
We'll thank the team one more time. We will thank our friends at the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund for sponsoring this video. Please subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel if you haven't already. Loads of YouTube exclusive comment coming down the pike over there. This show's been a production of In the Money Media. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. May you win all your photos.